Morning, everybody. This is Rick Mantei, and what I'm covering right now is something near and dear to my heart. We just did a flying event out at Columbia Metro this week, and between me and my buddy, I was in the PT-17, he's in the PT-26, we gave over 60 rides. So you talk about barnstorming, that's exactly what we were doing the whole time out of Columbia. The tower ate us up, all the people on the ground, the golf courses, everybody's just eating it up. It was just great to see this circus going on above them. So that brought to mind one of the best barnstormers ever, a guy named Roscoe Turner. Now Roscoe only went to the 10th grade. And because he only went to the 10th grade, he always felt bad about not having a good education. In fact, he tried to get into the Army Air Corps during World War I. They wouldn't let him in to flying because he didn't have a college degree. So he always felt bad. So what he did is he compensated for it by being Mr. Suave and debonair. Had a real one of those cool mustaches and always dressed to the T's everywhere he went, everything he did. And because of that in his mind, that overcame the bad self-image he had of himself because he never went to college. And that's what he did. You got to do something. And he did that, and it worked. It worked. He was a 3-time winner of the Thompson Trophy air race. He also had a flamboyant style. He had this lion named Gilmore. And everywhere he went, he took Gilmore with him. And he became a legend, this Gilmore. In fact, when Gilmore died in 1952, he had him stuffed. And when he died in 1975, he donated that pet lion to the Smithsonian, where it still is to this day. That was a big deal back then, you know, for him to have that lion with him everywhere he went and all the flying he did and whatnot. But this is interesting, you know, he couldn't get into the Army Air Corps when he wanted to in World War I. It was over by the time, you know, he had any chance at all of getting in. And by then they were downsizing hugely, so they didn't need anybody. So he had no chance of getting in. So he started doing the barnstorming, going all over the place. He had no money, and so to build up time and to get his license, he was with this guy named Harry Runser. And what he did in a Jenny, this guy needed somebody to be the mechanic, a wing walker, and a parachutist. And he did all those things, you know, for the guy in order to build up flying time. And I can't tell you how dangerous that was back in the day to do it. You know, of course, I have a Jenny, and, you know, I can't even imagine taking that airplane and just flying over a field somewhere and saying, oh, that looks like a good place to land, and just landing there and then having to beg, borrow, and steal to get some gasoline in order to fly it. That's why those guys died. You look down, you see this field, you go down there, you land, you get closer to it, there's ditches and all kinds of stuff in it. Over the plane goes, and you know there's a repair. Now you're out for God knows how long. It was a hard way to make a living, and they didn't make any money doing that kind of stuff. His first movie he was in was Hell's Angels, which was Howard Hughes' movie. And by the way, when The Aviator was made in 2004 with Leo DiCaprio, he was depicted in that movie, The Aviator, which by the way was also Leo's favorite movie he's made, was that particular movie. So he did Hell's Angels. If you've never seen the movie, it's wonderful. I've seen it many, many times. 1928, after he had all this experience and he got married, he started air racing and set all kinds of transcontinental records. After he did this barnstorming in the 20s when it was very popular to gain time and effort and energy. What happened was in 1930, the FAA, it wasn't called the FAA, it was called something else back then, but it came along, which regulated airplanes. In fact, my Jenny, I don't have any records on my Jenny from when it was built 1917 to 1930. Then in 1930, it had to be registered, and now I got all the data from 1930 to today on the airplane. So there's a lot going on back then. And but he did this racing, and when you look at the pictures of him when he won the different trophies, I mean, you know, he's like Dudley Do-Right. He's all looking great and wonderful with his little pencil mustache, and wore suits and stuff when he went around. But it worked. I mean, you know, the guy became very famous. And in World War II, he continued to campaign on many aviation issues, but his personal and business ideas proposals were repeatedly turned down by the government and the Army Air Force. But that didn't keep him from trying. I mean, he did a lot. It says RTAC took on additional training programs. In early 1944, all the WTS programs were discontinued. By then, they had trained an estimated 3,500 students. In July 44, he started a daily charter service between Detroit and Memphis, managed by his brother, Robert Turner, but after 40 days, it was shut down by CAB. I mean, this guy was a real maverick. I mean, he was a real maverick. It's amazing he lived to be 75 years old, but he did. And despite that was the hardest time to fly. It was also one of the most romantic, but it was very, very dangerous what he did. Finally, in 1949, a special act of Congress was passed to award the Distinguished Flying Cross to him. Citation for decorations for extraordinary achievement while participating in aerial flight. And he was the last civilian to receive the DFC, which I didn't know that, but he did. He received the DFC, the World War I Victory Medal, because he was in, he just didn't fly, the Army of Occupation of Germany Medal. And then, of course, when soon after he died, he was enshrined in the National Aviation Hall of Fame in Dayton, Ohio. So, a really great guy, and you can get a little bit of an idea here, if you can see this, about what the guy looked like, how flamboyant he was, and was a good-looking guy on top of all that, and he took advantage of all the advantages that he had and lived a great life. So, salute to you, Roscoe Turner. Until next time, you guys take care of yourself. Bye-bye.